The views and opinions expressed during this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other employees, advertisers, or sponsors.
Good morning. It is Wednesday, April 2nd. I'm Michelle Dials, and you're listening to Talk of the Town on 1230 WSAL. Joining me this morning from Logansport Memorial Hospital, Vicki Bird is here. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Just fine, thank you.
And we are talking volunteers this morning with Tammy Sarzewski.
Good morning.
And you are the volunteer coordinator for Logansport Memorial Hospital.
That's correct. Yes.
And a couple of volunteers here with us this morning as well.
Yes.
We have Bonnie Boyer.
Hi.
And Barb Hamlin.
Hi.
And so I guess kind of walk us through the whole Volunteer Week concept.
Well, we just take this week to kind of show appreciation to our volunteers, but it's also a good time for us to do some recruitment. So we have a volunteer banquet going on Tuesday for our volunteers. And, yeah, we would just look forward to any people that would be interested. If you've been thinking about volunteering at the hospital, this would be a good time to make that connection.
And, Tammy, how did you get into this position?
Well, I was actually a librarian in Kentucky, but worked heavily with volunteers and saw the job opening. I have family in Marion, Indiana, and so decided this might be a good time to see about getting closer to family. So I've been in the position about a year and have just really enjoyed working with the volunteers. I also am the gift shop manager, so it's kind of a dual position for me.
Okay. And what are some of the different volunteer opportunities available at Logansport Memorial Hospital?
Well, we really have two components to our volunteering. There is the volunteer auxiliary, and these volunteers work closely with the patients. Some of them work at the information desk. They work in our volunteer office. They transport patients from one place to another. They deliver mail, flowers. They help employees with projects. They're also volunteers who work in our surgery waiting room to keep things moving smoothly there, and also in the ER. The other component is the Mary Dykeman Guild. And those volunteers are largely in charge of helping me run the gift shop by staffing it. And then they also have a number of fundraisers throughout the year. All the money, the auxiliary also has fundraisers. And then that money that we raise from fundraisers and the gift shop goes back to support special projects for the hospital. It all goes back into the hospital. So it's a good endeavor for all of them.
Okay, and let's talk to the volunteers that are here this morning. Bonnie, how did you get involved in volunteering with Logansport Memorial Hospital?
Well, I retired from the state hospital, and my daughter seemed to think that I needed something to do, and she encouraged me to go up and volunteer, and I really enjoy it.
And so what kind of volunteer work do you do?
Well, we assist the patients in any way that we can. We deliver the mail. We deliver flowers when they come in. We also help the hospital with folding of papers or putting them in manila envelopes, getting ready to move, or to mail, sorry. Anything that they ask of us, we are more than willing to do.
Okay, and Barb, what about you?
Actually, after I retired, I knew several of the girls who were on the board. And ironically, I became a board member before I ever worked in the gift shop. So kind of in reverse order, but I'm treasurer of the guild and truly enjoy working at the hospital and the gift shop.
So you're part of the Mary Dykeman Guild?
I'm part of the Mary Dykeman, yes.
Okay, and then Bonnie, are you part of the volunteer auxiliary?
Yes, I was the past president of the auxiliary.
Okay.
So I am the auxiliary.
Okay, so for people who might be interested in volunteering, how can they get involved?
Several different ways. They could give me a call at the hospital. The number, it's local area code 574-753-1304. They could also go to our website, www.logansportmemorial.org. There's a button there where they can click on volunteer and actually submit an online application, which I will then follow up with them. Or if they just stop by the hospital, the information desk there, Ruth keeps applications there, and they can just do that. From there, we would just set up kind of an interview for us to make sure it's a good fit and for you to make sure this is what you want to do, and then we move forward from there.
So for you two ladies, about how much time do you spend a week volunteering?
Well, it depends on the week. None of us volunteer more, or most of us volunteer just half days. And we have a set day that we volunteer each week and each month.
Okay.
So it's just a continuous deal. We know exactly when we're going to be working. And it averages out to maybe 30, 40 hours a month when you get all your half days in.
We have about, I think, 80 or so auxiliary members, and we track their hours. And last year, cumulatively, the auxiliary hours was close to 13,000 hours that our auxiliary members logged for the hospital. So, I mean, it's a huge service for us in terms of just all the extra attention that we're able to provide to the patients and family members with the work that they do.
And then with the Guild, let's talk a little bit about what the Mary Dykeman Guild is all about.
Okay, the Guild is all about raising money, basically, through our fundraisers. We have Holly Bazaar in the fall in November, and then we have the Garden Party, which is coming up May the 8th. And we've added, in the last couple of years, we've added a 31 party in June. And so the revenues from those events go to buy materials that the hospital needs. Whatever the requests come from the different departments, we try to honor those. And basically support newborns with the sleep sacks. Each new baby gets a sleep sack. And we work the hours in the gift shop. And we have board meetings once a month. We have 4 luncheons during the year to kind of thank the volunteers.
Keeps you pretty busy.
Yeah.
Well, and the events that you guys have are phenomenal. I mean, the Holly Bazaar, I love that event.
Yes.
And I went to the Garden Party for the first time last year.
Good.
And it's just both very nice events. Now, as far as the gift shop, you get to buy all the fun stuff, right?
I do, which is a fun thing, but it's also a challenge. It's a lot of responsibility to buy the right things. But we've really tried to change the look recently, and our sales are good. And so, yeah, things are going very well. So I hope people in the community will keep it in mind as a source for gifts, because we really do. We do have a nice selection, I think, for baby gifts or just wedding gifts. Personal scarves, purses. We've tried to expand to accessories. So yeah.
I didn't realize that. So that's cool.
Yes.
When you say you've changed the look, can you kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
More just how we've displayed things, I think, against the wall. We've added a new line of jewelry, Ginger Snaps, which is going very well. And so, yeah, we've kind of just tried to examine what's selling well and to kind of go in that direction. So, yeah.
Okay. So how many people are involved with Mary Dykeman Guild?
Approximately 120 members. And we try to get them to work at least one shift a month. Sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. We have some members who are just members by name, and then we have some who work every week. So,
and what's kind of the history of the Mary Dykeman Guild?
Actually, Logansport had a Judge Dykeman, whose wife's name was Mary, and in her honor, he donated land for the hospital. And the Guild was actually established in 1959 by, I understand, doctors' wives and volunteers, and has kind of carried on in that tradition.
Okay. For both of you, what has been the most rewarding part or something that stands out to you about your volunteer experience with Logansport Memorial Hospital?
I think the help with the patients, how much they really appreciate it. And they're so glad to see us and that know that we will be able to help them. And this is rewarding when they say thank you.
Mm-hmm. I think it's always a good feeling to know that you're helping those around. And, maybe with the Guild it's not as direct because we don't see the patients, but we see the results of what we buy for the hospital.
Mm-hmm. Now, as far as, like, the ladies at the front desk, are those volunteers? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, I mean, as soon as you walk in,
Ruth is not a volunteer.
Ruth is not a volunteer. Okay.
But the ladies, and I believe we only have ladies that sit at the front desk.
Yeah.
We don't have any gentlemen right now.
We do on Monday afternoons.
Oh, Monday afternoons. Anyway, the volunteers, they wear the maroon jackets or vest. So that's how you know they're a volunteer.
So possibly one of the very first people that you interact with when you get to the hospital.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So definitely a very important service that you guys provide. So we talked a little bit. You guys will be observing. It's National Volunteer Week next week.
Starting
Okay.
April 6th.
Okay.
To the 13th.
And are there other events affiliated with that? I mean, you mentioned the luncheon.
Well, there's a senior fair that's going to be going on here at Angie's.
Right, we're actually participating in the Senior Expo next week, and we're going to be doing some volunteer recruitment at that event. But then we also have our auxiliary banquet next Tuesday evening.
Right.
And when you talk volunteer recruitment, what types of people are you looking for?
It really depends. We have a really diverse group. So we have some that are we have high school students during the summer. That's an option during the summer. Some of them, we have one that's a master's student working in health field, so she wanted to get some experience. So she's some young volunteers are always welcome. And then a lot of retirees. There's people that just kind of need something to do after they retire. Some that have lost a spouse, and this just kind of fills a need in their life after that. We have some kind of stay-at-home moms. So we really are open to anybody who just has a heart to serve. I think that's the main thing.
And I think sometimes it's hard to identify ourselves as a volunteer. Like it just kind of becomes something that you do. It's like your calling of what you do. Do you guys find that as well?
I believe you're right on that. Yeah.
Well, and these ladies, I mean, this is not their only opportunity to volunteer. They are both really active in the community and in their churches. And I mean, they spend lots of hours with us, but then lots more hours outside of the hospital in volunteer work. And
I guess kind of in observance of National Volunteer Week, National Volunteer Week. It's also National Volunteer Month, isn't it? Okay.
It is.
Can we kind of talk about the other volunteer hats that you wear? I know, Barb, you've been here before with the Logansport Art Association.
Absolutely. I'm president of the board and kind of the acting director right now. And I'm also involved in Psi Iota Xi sorority. I volunteer at the Historical Society.
Bonnie, what about you?
Well, after I leave here, I am going out to Walton to the American Legion. Today is the day they have their community chicken and noodle dinner. So I help out there, and I do volunteer work at the VFW.
Tammy, I know you coordinate the volunteers. Do you have opportunities to volunteer as well?
I serve in my church. I teach the young children once a month, and so I do that. And I've just joined I'm in the process of joining the Daughters of the American Revolution, and there's volunteer opportunities through that. So, yeah, I try to be involved in the community as well.
And Vicki, I know you volunteer as well.
I do. I'm United Way Board, just past president and on the board, and lots of other roles, too.
All right. Definitely, I mean, lots and lots of volunteer opportunities within the community and lots of organizations that rely on the help of volunteers. And I think that Memorial Hospital is lucky to have a volunteer coordinator to coordinate all of those hours. I mean, you mentioned that you track the number of hours, and that becomes very important in terms of grants and that sort of thing. Right. Is this something that is, I guess, standard for most hospitals to have a large contingent of volunteers?
Most hospitals do have some kind of volunteer group. And I would say, it probably depends upon the size of the hospital as part as to how big the group is. We, in the past, have participated in a regional volunteer group and have been able to, get some best practices from them. We're kind of sitting that out right now because it's a group that kind of rotates around and travels, and our members had decided that, right now they're really not interested in traveling to other hospitals. But, if you go to another hospital, I mean, usually one of the first people that you're going to encounter is a volunteer of some type. So it is a fairly standard practice.
Well, and I would imagine the role that you guys are in sometimes is different because when people come to the hospital, it's not usually somewhere that they want to be going. They may be apprehensive, they may be scared, they may just not want to be there at all. So that's kind of a different volunteer role than we see in some of the other things where you're maybe coordinating an event, that sort of thing. So I would imagine emotionally that there are certain things that you guys have to take into consideration when you see patients.
Well, that when they come up there, they're either going to a doctor's appointment and or they're getting blood work or something, they're not feeling well. So I try to brighten their spirits a little bit. And they love to see a smile. They love to see a smile.
And the gift shop helps brighten their spirits, too, I think.
Yeah, they love to stop in the gift shop in between appointments or waiting for blood to be drawn or something like that. And, be cheered up a little bit by beautiful atmosphere.
And sometimes they just need to talk to somebody, and I think sometimes our volunteers can provide a good listening ear. Sometimes it's the joy of a new baby, a new grandchild, and sometimes it's the heartbreak of illness and a loved one that is upstairs. And so I think, just sometimes it's a distraction, and sometimes just a listening ear that the volunteers can be.
And I think you made a good point, Tammy, about the gift shop being a place that you can stop in for a wedding gift, baby gift, that sort of thing. I mean, it's one of those things. It's not on one of the main drags. You don't see a big sign hanging outside that says the gift shop is in here. I mean, obviously you know that it's within the hospital, but it is somewhere people can just stop by, even if they're not there to visit the hospital itself.
And we've been seeing more of that. A lot of people in the community really have been coming in after hours. We do have hours on Saturday. We're open 10 to 4 on Saturdays. And then in the evening, we're open till 5:30, intentionally so that people can come after work. And we are nonprofit, so all the money that, comes from the gift shop, after we pay our bills, it goes back into the hospital. And a lot of people value that and want to support the community hospital. And by buying gifts at the gift shop, they can do that.
All right. Now, Barb, you mentioned that the garden party is coming up in May.
May 8th, yes.
And do you want to talk a little bit about what that's all about?
Well, it's from 10 to 2, I believe, and it's going to be outside and by MOB East. And there will be lots of unique garden art, birdhouses, I'm assuming. The flowers are coming from Chuck's Towers and Flowers. And it's just a fun day. And lunch is available. It's just a fun day to come and explore what's new in the community.
And hopefully it will be warm by then.
Hopefully it will be
we
warm,
hope.
yes. Yes.
Okay. Vicki, do you have other events coming up?
I
that you
do.
want to talk
And I
about?
also wanted to say the hospital also provides Meals on Wheels to the community, and that is an area that we also have a need for drivers for Meals on Wheels. So if someone is interested in that, again, they can contact Tammy, and she can get them in the right place. In addition to the garden party, we have the Oh Baby Run, which is on April 26th. Registration is available now. You can just call the office at 753-1595 or stop by and get a brochure, or you can get it online as well. That event supports the OB department. We also have a couple other things. We have the style show, which I think we talked about briefly, the garden party, and then a 31 bag sale coming up in June. And for those of you that know 31 bags, those are fairly popular, and it's a good fundraiser. In terms of auxiliary events, our next big one, we have a book fair, and we see a lot of community members come in for that. That's in June as well, June 6th.
And not having a bookstore anymore. I mean, that's a great opportunity.
It is nice, yeah. And all of our events are posted on the website. Usually there's press releases and on the community calendar and those kind of things as well. So they're fairly well advertised.
Now, we have a couple minutes left, and you mentioned the style show, and I don't think we touched on that a whole lot in detail.
Right. We need to plug the style show because it's Wednesday, April the 9th, 6 p.m. at Calvary. We do have a few tickets left at the gift shop or board members. They are $15. Wonderful raffle items to be given away. Wonderful supper and dessert. Fun evening, closed by Grapevine Boutique. So please come.
Very cool. All right. Well, lots of great stuff going on at Logansport Memorial Hospital. As always, a little change of pace this month, talking with volunteers instead of doctors. Mm-hmm. But lots of different areas that the hospital is involved in. And I know you guys have your State of the Hospital coming up soon as well.
April 18th, right. We'll be delivering just general information about how 2013 fared for the hospital. David Amin will be doing that address. So invitations have been sent out for that.
All right. That'll do it for this half of Talk of the Town. Bonnie Boyer, Barb Hanlon, Tammy Zarzewski, and Vicki Bird, thank you so much for coming in this morning.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for your service to the community and for hopefully getting people interested in some volunteer opportunities in the community. And before we wrap up, Tammy, can you give the information for people, again, if they'd like to contact you to get involved?
It's the phone number is 753-1304. Or you can just go to the hospital website, www.logansportmemorial.org, or just stop by the hospital and we'll be happy to give you more information.
All right. That will do it for this half of Talk of the Town. We'll be back with more.